Jagrative. Jai Masters. Spirituality is always about the same thing. It's not religion, though the core and crux of almost all religions come from very deep spiritual people, Christ, Buddha, Muhammad. But spirituality is about spirit. It's not about your beliefs, your hopes, your dreams, your concepts, your views, your opinions, your preferences, your likes, your dislikes. Those are about those things. There's this thing called spirit. Spirit, though few talk about it this way, the word spirit is the same thing as the word consciousness. They're the same thing. Soul is the same thing as spirit, is the same thing as consciousness. Consciousness is the core of your being. If you're not conscious, you're not there. It doesn't matter what's happening to you. It doesn't matter what you like or dislike. It doesn't matter what you hope or your dream or your wants, your non-wants, or your fears, your anxieties. If you're not conscious, you don't know anything about that stuff. Consciousness is the beginning and end of your being. You are a conscious, sentient being. Again, you need to contemplate this. If you weren't conscious, you're not there, okay? It's not about, who am I if I'm not conscious? You're nothing. You're not there. You don't like or dislike because you wouldn't know anything about it. Likes, dislikes, hopes, dreams, beliefs, everything, all those things are things you're conscious of. The world is something you're conscious of. Male, female, tall, short, light, dark. Those are things you're conscious of. All the yin and yang, those are things you're conscious of. You are the consciousness itself. That is your soul. That's what's meant by soul. The core of your being. The essence of your being. That's what that is. So consciousness is the essence of spirituality. But humans aren't that. They're not aware of their consciousness. They're just sucked into what they're conscious of. And what they're conscious of are these base animalistic drives that, the body came up as an animal through evolution, and it still has these drives. And then the psychological drives, I want people to like me. Just all kinds of stuff gets developed in your mind, in your heart, in your body, and you get lost in it. And that's the state of a human being. That's the predicament, that you have these objects of consciousness that are very powerful. What I want, that's very powerful. What I don't want, very powerful. The drives of the body, very powerful. The guilts and fears. There, I just talked about id, ego, and superego. There's Freud. It is the drives of the body, the base drives. Superego is what society put inside your head so you feel guilty and scared to do anything. And then you develop this ego of what I like and what I don't want. I want to get married and I want to do this. I like this and I don't like that. You have things you like and don't like. They're in your mind. Consciousness has none of those things. Consciousness has no like or dislike. It's like a camera doesn't care what it's shooting at. It's just aware. Consciousness is pure awareness. So basically, you come down to understand spirituality is about consciousness. That's what it's about. Why? How do you know that? Because you're going to reach a state, if you meditate or you work on yourself reasonably, that you're going to realize that all these drives and all these needs and all these dreams and all these hopes and all these fears are things you are conscious of. There are things you are aware of. In any given moment, you could feel love, and then somebody says something, and you feel disdain. It is the same you that is experiencing all of this. That's your essence. But the drive and the pull of the personal, let's just put that all packaged together. What I like, what I don't like, my hopes, my dreams, my concepts, my views, my beliefs, that's your personal self, is very, very powerful. It's one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And what it does is pull your consciousness into it, doesn't it? If you see something you like, you're busy doing something, talking to somebody, and then something you like shows up, boom! You bye-bye, bye-bye. Something you don't like, boom! You're gone, you're running for it, you're running against it. It's a powerful force. Don't minimize the power of the personal. The personal has pulled the consciousness, the awareness of being into it, and we are busy being personal. This is what I like. I don't like what you said. I really like what you say. Can you say it again? I love you so much. What'd you say? I couldn't hear you. It's just the personal. It's just that powerful. The personal is not who you are. There's not one single aspect of the personal that's you. That's like saying, because I'm looking at the picture, I'm the picture. Or I'm looking in the mirror, I'm what's in the mirror. No, you're not. You're the one who's looking. If you have a need and a drive and an urge and so strong, you're not it. You're aware of it. Spirituality says, I am not that. I may be having trouble with that, but I am not that. I am not the urges of my body. Any animal can be the urges of their body. Does that mean I have to renounce them and play that whole stupid game? Of course not. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with I am not the urges of my body. I am aware of the urges of my body. That's spirituality. I am not what my mind wants. I don't care what my mind wants. It makes me care. It draws me into it. It won't leave me alone, will it? I want this. I want this. I want a car like that. Why can't I have a car like that? It won't leave you alone, will it? But why does she have to leave? Why does she leave me? I needed her so much. She said she would never leave. Anybody got one of those minds? It's a problem, isn't it? Spirituality is not about that. Spirituality is about how do you know that that's going on inside of you? Because the party that knows is spiritual. That's what spirit is. It is the consciousness, the awareness of being. The problem is the power of the personal. Let's call it the personal, that whole package. That package, you. That which you use the word I for. I like this, I don't like that, I wish this didn't happen. Oh my God, something happened. I, me, mine. Something happened to me 20 years ago and I just can't live with it. It's bothering me so much. Right? That's the human state, isn't it? And so it's so powerful that the consciousness gets pulled into it. And then that's who you are. When you think that's who you are, therefore that's who you are. It's how you act. You behave that way. It's what comes out of your mouth, doesn't it? It determines what you say. It determines how you act. It determines who you like. If you like somebody and all of a sudden they say something that you've totally been against your whole life, you don't like them anymore. One word. One thing. If your ex used to slurp soup, and now you got this wonderful day, you've been going out, the blind date. They paired you all together, and here you are, and it's wonderful, and you're going out, right? And thank God you never went to a restaurant that serves soup yet, okay? And you're telling all your friends, this is the most perfect person, it's my soulmate, it's everything. And then you go there, and you go to this restaurant, and there's miso soup, or borscht, I don't know which type of restaurant you went to, doesn't matter. There's that slurp. That's it. That's it. I'm telling you, that's how we are. That's it. It reminded you of something you didn't like, and that not like projects onto that person, and you're telling everybody, yeah, I thought it was right, but no, why? I don't know why. And you probably don't. You don't realize that happened, right? It just came up and your heart closed, and there you go. That's how easy it is. That's called the personal. Your whole psychological, emotional, physiological, that's this thing. And your consciousness is staring at this thing, and it gets pulled into it, doesn't it? There are times you feel clearer, and times you're just lost. I was doing well, and now I'm all upset, and I'm not okay, and I'm broken, and I'm not well. How'd that happen? Something happened. Something came up. This personal change. Does the personal change? Does the personal change? Kind of scary, isn't it? It could change on a dime, can't it? Okay? So you start to understand, I'm talking now about spiritual. But I can't talk about spiritual, which is consciousness, without talking about the personal. Why? Because that's where everybody's caught. They're caught in the personal, and therefore they don't know a thing about themselves. They don't know a thing about themselves. You know, it's taught that a master, a guru, knows you better than you know yourself. I've heard people sit there and say, how could somebody know me better than I know myself? Because the only thing you know is your personal self. They can look past that and see your spiritual self, which is your being. That's the truth of your being. You will never, ever, ever reach contentment and satisfaction until you come back to self. Why? There's just this innate sense that there's something more. There's something greater. No matter what's going on with the personal, it will never, ever feed. That's what Christ meant when he said, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of God. There's this sense of being inside. Fullness, wholeness, completeness. That's what's meant by that. And then there's the food that's coming from outside. Relationships and this and jobs and careers and money and cars and this. Oh, the fun, nice things that make your personal feel better. How you like that? Which would you rather have, a personal that feels better or a personal that feels worse? It's not even close. If the personal feels worse, you're all messed up. You're not enjoying yourself, not doing anything. You talk spiritual all you want. You can't hear a word of it. All you want is to get things the way you want them, the way your personal wants them, so that you don't be suffering, so that you feel more content, at least relatively. Feel relatively well. And if you're doing that and you're getting what you want, you do feel better. But that doesn't wake you up to consciousness. you get pulled down into that. If you're suffering, you get pulled into that. If you're needing things and getting what you want, you get pulled down into that. Spirituality is not about that. Spirituality is not about that. Spirituality is about transcending the personal. What does that mean? It sounds like such a big word. It means you are the consciousness that is aware of what your mind is saying. You are the consciousness that's aware of what you want and what you don't want, and how you feel when you get what you want and when you don't have to have what you don't want. You are always conscious, but you're pulled down into the personal. Spirituality, and that's the whole purpose of meditation, of yoga, of mantra, of every single aspect. It's like people say, you don't teach techniques. I don't teach techniques. I do more now. You made me. I don't want to teach techniques. Why? There's thousands of techniques. There's so many techniques. They all work if you do them. I want to teach why you would do them. That's my technique. Is it why you would bother keeping sadhana, why you'd bother working on yourself spiritually instead of just personally. And so basically you get to the point where you realize, I am in here. I've always been in here. You've always been in there. You've always been in there. When you're having really, really bad times, are you in there? You wish you weren't. But you are, aren't you? You're aware of it. When you're having really, really good times, are you in there? Yeah. All right? Spirituality is about you, the self, the Atman, the soul. What name do you want to put on the thing? You know why I don't like giving it names? Why I shouldn't give it names? Because the mind is giving it a name. And you are aware that the mind gave it a name. God is the one that notices. So if you give it names, and I like that in the Jewish tradition, the ancient Jewish tradition, they don't write the word God. It's G or underscore D. They're not supposed to write the word God. Why? Why? Is that weird? No, it's because you're not supposed to even try to make an understanding in your mind of what this thing is that's looking at your mind. Let me tell you right now, look in a mirror. You can see what's in the mirror, but what's in the mirror can't see you. So if you're going into your mind to know something about the one who's looking at your mind, that's like thinking the mirror can see you. That's why the teachings are to transcend your mind. There's nothing wrong with your mind. There's nothing wrong with your mind. There's nothing wrong with your heart. There's nothing wrong with your body. There's nothing wrong. It's just what is. But your consciousness, which is everything, is being lost by identifying with what it's looking at instead of identifying with the one who's looking. So how does that happen? And how does one free themselves from that? And what does it feel like? What does it mean to free yourself from it? What happens if somebody frees themselves from it? It's not a jump, it's a staircase to heaven. So what's the first step? The first step is witness consciousness. The first step, there's lower steps, but I'll assume you're not here if you're still working with those. Your first step is your awareness. I see my mind has desires. I see my mind has fears. I see my heart is cahoots with my mind. That when the mind thinks, oh my God, hope that doesn't happen, my heart goes, how about yours? Okay? So it's basically the personal works together. And I see that I have trouble dealing with that. So the first step is witness consciousness. I am aware that I am aware. It's a silly thing to talk about because of course you're aware. You're always aware. How would you know what's happening? How would you know your heart hurt? How would you know that you like this person? What does it mean? I met this person. I really like them. Maybe this could be the answer to my dreams. How do you know that you like them? Did somebody pass you a note? No, something inside of you changed. Your heart opened. You felt some good energy. Your mind said nice things. How do you know? How do you know that happened? Well, I'm in here. Good. That's witness consciousness. Not what it said and not getting involved in what it said. Being aware that I am the one that's aware that this feeling came up inside of me. Did I like the feeling? Yeah. Or did I like the feeling? No. But I'm aware. That's what it means to take a seat of witness consciousness. It has nothing to do with what you're feeling or what you're thinking. It has to do with the fact that you're aware that these are the thoughts that are going through your mind and these are the feelings that are going through your heart. That's witness consciousness. You're not judging yourself. You're not saying, oh my God, I can't believe I thought that. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? No, that's just another thought on top of the thought. Or, oh, I really like this person. Oh my God, what can I do to attract them? No, that's fine. The mind can do anything it wants. You're just aware. There it goes again. There it is talking. If it's talking, someone's listening. It's not about the object. It's about the subject. So witness consciousness is a major step, and most people can't take it. but it's a major step in coming back to self, coming back to your true being. Why can't we do it? Because we're trying to get what the mind wants. Why? If you get what the mind wants, you feel better, don't you? If you avoid what the mind doesn't want, you don't suffer as much. So it keeps pulling you into it, but that will not get you back behind it. All right? I'm having an honest talk with you. You may not like it. I'm not here to make you like it. All right? I'm here because somebody's got to be willing to tell the truth. The truth of the matter is, that's what happens inside your mind, and that's what happens inside your heart. And it's strong, isn't it? It pulls you down into it. So people say things like this: I like to balance my spiritual life with my worldly life. Bah, you lose. That's absurd. You're either sitting in the seat that's watching, and if you're watching your spiritual self-talk, I'm a high being now, right? Or you're watching your worldly self, oh, I just had more money. It doesn't matter what you're watching. There are clouds in the sky. They're just clouds in the sky. They just pass by. There is no balance. Don't let them sell that to you. It's not good enough that you go Sunday and do this or Friday night or whatever. It's like you are a spiritual being and you are lost in your personal. A spiritual life means you return to your seat of self. Doesn't mean your life doesn't go on. Nobody said anything about renunciation. Nobody said anything about doing and not doing. You've heard the words, haven't you? It's beyond doing and not doing. That's why it's beyond doing and not doing. If I'm sitting in there saying, I want to be a spiritual, so I'm not going to do the things that I want, that's the same as doing the things that you want. You're still lost in the personal. Can one sit in the seat of objective observation? That's what Krishnamurti called it, objective observation. Can you sit in the seat of objective observation and notice that you notice? Well, then what? Shh. That's your mind jumping in. Well, what will happen? Shh. Just be there. Be there. And notice that you can't. Why? Do I stop being conscious? No, you wish. You don't stop being conscious. You become conscious of something that pulled you into it, so that now you're not conscious of being conscious. You're conscious of needing and liking and not liking and wanting and fearing. You get pulled into the object and you lose this sense of me, of the true self. So your work, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is, can I sit in the seat of self and allow my life to unfold? You're not going to stop your life from unfolding. Doesn't mean you don't get married. Doesn't mean you don't have children. Doesn't mean you don't get rich. It doesn't mean you don't go through everything. Life goes on. Hey, you're not making life go on. You don't make the sun come up in the morning, do you? You don't make the ocean flow. You don't. I told you, what, 25 trillion living cells make up your body. You making sure they're doing okay? Right? You know, do you even know what your liver secretes? It's doing it by itself. When your body gets sick, something happens. Does the immune system wake up and white corpuscles go out there and fight it? You doing all that? Come on, get to work. You make your heart beat? You make your breath go in and out? You are not the doer. You're not the doer. What percentage of your life really are you doing? 0.00001. The ego says, no way, I did that. I attracted this person. I wore certain clothes, put on nice perfume or cologne. I figured out how this needs to be, and therefore I did it. Okay, did you give birth to the person? Were you around for the 30 years while the person was growing up before you met them? Did you form their psyche and their consciousness with all the events and circumstances that ever happened to them? Did you birth their parents? What did you do? Nothing. Nothing. There's a tiny little thing at the end, a 0.00001. But he likes me. Did you make it so that he likes you? Did you form his entire psyche, all the past experiences, and all the movies he saw, and all the books he read, and every single thing, so that then when you showed up, oh, I like her. You're not doing anything. It's all happening by itself. You do a tiny little bit, and then you think I'm the doer. So you wake up and you realize if you sit in the seat of self, it is not that nothing's going to happen. What's going to happen? Everything the same is going to happen. The traffic lights will turn red and green, and people will stop and go, hopefully. And just, come on, think about how many things are happening. And that's just in your little world. Is what you see the only thing that's going on? Or is there something going on outside the frame of your reference? How much is going on? More than what you see. 100 billion, zillion, quillion, trillion, billion, and just in your state. What about the planet Earth? What about the galaxies? What about everything everywhere? It's all going on. You're not doing it. And so you wake up and you realize that if your consciousness is staying stable in a seat of consciousness, it does not mean your life is not going to unfold. Your life will unfold. But we don't know that. We think nothing good will happen unless we do it. And the world is essentially a bad place. Really, all the galaxies are in balance, and it's essentially phenomenal, isn't it? The flowers grow by themselves on the side of the road. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. What is wrong with us that we don't understand? It's all happening by itself. It's been happening for 13.8 billion years. How long have you been here? And it's happening everywhere. So if you come back to the seat of consciousness and you dare to let go of the personal, don't think it means the end of your life. Don't think that nothing will happen. Things unfold. And the point of the matter is, you know they unfold because they're not always the way you want, and so on. And so you finally reach the point of spirituality. So spirituality is not about renunciation. It's not about giving up your life. In a sense, it's about honoring life. You come to a point where I am the consciousness inside, and I am aware of this phenomenal planet and what's in front of me. And there's always something in front of me, and it's phenomenal. And my God, now you're starting to become spiritual. So it's not that you don't go to work, and it's not that you don't have relationships, and it's not that you don't do anything. There's no doing or not doing. The world is unfolding in front of you, and you're going to find out it does very well. It does very well. And in truth, it's done very well. Because if you look at all that's happening, you're not doing it. I don't know how to get it across to you. Are you making your heart beat? Your body used to be about a foot long. Now it's this big thing. Did you do it? Well, is it important that it happened? Well, you didn't do it, did you? How can all of those things happen by themselves and you sit there and say you're the doer? You're not the doer. You're the experiencer of life. But you've developed this personal that's saying I'm doing it and I have to do it and it will never be the way I want unless I make it be that way, and I better decide what I want. And sometimes I change my mind, by the way. And you're just very busy in there being personal. Consciousness is aware of that. It's not touching it. It's aware that the personal is doing all these things. And then basically it lets go. That's your next step. First, and this is spiritual evolution. First, you're aware of everything I'm talking about. I'm aware, yep, I'm in here, and yep, it goes up and down, and the personal is really powerful and so on, but I don't get pulled down into it. But I do sometimes. Well, what do? If I get pulled down into it, as soon as possible, I let go and realize I got pulled down into it. Are you aware you get pulled down? Do you get pulled down into it? Have you ever done anything you wish you hadn't done? And it's, why did those words come out of my mouth? Why did I have to say that? Because you got pulled down into it, and you weren't there. During that time, you weren't there. You got sucked down into this. You're there, but you're conscious of what you got pulled down into. And that's anger and this, all kinds of things. It explains the entire human predicament, doesn't it? We are busy being the personal, and God knows how that comes out. So basically, you practice how? How do you practice witness consciousness?
Meditation.
Well, meditation is a technique. Why do they call those practices? Meditation is a spiritual practice. When I'm practicing the piano, that's not playing the piano. I'm practicing the piano. When I practice tennis, that's not being on the court playing tennis. I'm practicing. Well, meditation is a practice. Mantra is a practice. Positive thinking is a practice. What are you practicing for? The ability to stay centered at all circumstances so that all day, not just on a meditation pillow, I am here aware of what is in front of me and what is going on inside of me. Do you know you're capable of that? But isn't that hard? No. Is it hard to see what's in front of you? Look in front of you right now. How hard was that? That's how hard it is to see what's going on inside of you. You see it, but you don't, because it pulls you in. So if I say, look how easy it is to see what's in front of you, and then all of a sudden a rattlesnake, you don't see what's in, now you just see just that. Pulls your consciousness down to it. That's why you can't see what's going on inside, because it's a rattlesnake most of the time. And it pulls your consciousness down into it. Otherwise, when you're centered and clear, it is just as easy to see what's in front of you as inside of you. You see your heart, you see your thoughts, no effort. You're not trying. Witness consciousness is not something you try to do. It's something that you are. I'm conscious, therefore I see what's happening. So the only thing you're working with is not getting pulled down and distracted into these lower forces that are inside. Do you see the difference? But I want to tell you, because people misunderstand this, just as easy as it is to look in front of you. Don't look, just see. There it is. That's how easy to see what's inside of you. And someday you will reach that state where that's all that's happening. You're just aware. I'm aware. I'm aware of what's happening inside of me. Why wouldn't I be? Because it was so powerful, it drew my consciousness down into it, and I was no longer centered. That's what centered means. That's what clarity means. It's not about right or wrong or good or bad or anything. It's just about, can you be conscious of what's going on in there? So that's your work. That's why you're practicing. You're practicing the state of witness consciousness, the state of observation. How do I do that? Well, the teachings are actually very easy. It's up to you to decide the techniques. What are the teachings? Okay, somebody says something to you. At least you thought they were saying to you. Maybe it was talking to the person behind you. Or at least you thought you knew what they said. And insult comes up inside of you. Ever get insulted by what somebody says? Or feel rejected or insecure? So this jumps up in here. Can you not get pulled down into it? Well, I can push it away. I didn't say that. So your first act, I'm going to teach you what it's like to be in there. Your first act is suppression. Your first act is, I can't believe they said this, I don't want to feel this, and you push it away. Have hands in there? Can you push things around in there? Okay, witness consciousness means you don't do that. Witness consciousness means I noticed it, and I didn't have to do anything about it. They said something, it came in, I felt insecure, I felt guilt, I felt jealousy, something happened inside, and then the mind started going, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't it do that? And I noticed. Notice what? That. Oh, what do you mean you noticed? I noticed. What did you do about it? No. Clouds go by, I don't do anything. All kinds of things happen. I'm able to sit there inside and notice the pull. Has a pull, doesn't it? The pull that it has for me to focus on it, for me to pay attention to it, for me to do something about it. True witness consciousness, you're practicing letting go. That's what letting go means. It doesn't mean letting go of your husband or your wife or your kids or your job. Letting go is letting go of the personal. You're letting go of the pull that the personal has on your consciousness. Can you do that right now? In general, no. And that's why I teach in the new book, Living Untethered, start with the simple stuff. Start with the fact that it's hot out and you're complaining. Start with the low-hanging fruit. Let go. There's a person in there complaining about the heat. How did that help? Practice. It doesn't hurt to let that go. What do you mean? Let it go. But it's hot. Let it go. So let it be hot. Okay? And you just let go, and you're going to practice, and you're going to see you can do it. And if you can't do it with the weather, do it with the car in front of you. I always use these examples. Why? Because we all do this. Why are they driving so slow? Oh my God, they didn't use their blinker. What's going on around here? Oh my God, how do I get around them? That goes on in there, doesn't it? That's practicing tennis. That's doing your scales on a piano. That's how you practice being centered. Start really simple. You start practicing spirituality with these simple things that the complaints and the things start coming up inside. There's no benefit to them. It doesn't hurt at all to accept the way the person's driving in front of you. They'll turn 2 blocks from now. You'll be 15 seconds later than where you were going. You pay attention and you see, I can let this go. Can I let this go? Can I let go complaining about the driver in front of me? Okay, do it. Because what you're doing is practicing remaining centered, practicing witness consciousness. That's how you practice it. You let go of what distracted you from it. Ooh, I'm getting there, aren't I? Do you get distracted in there by this stuff? And it pulls your consciousness in. It does it so quickly you don't even notice. Slow it down. Slow it down. Practice. Practice. Just keep practicing. And all of a sudden you're going to find out things start moving in slow motion inside. It's not like anger shoots up. You start feeling some weird vibration down in the lower belly, the disturbance in the force. And if you leave it alone, you keep going, and next thing you know, you lose it. Start there. Start where it starts. I'm telling you, you will reach a point, from very deep, you will reach a point that it will start to get disturbed in there. You can feel it, can't you? You don't even know why. Good. I don't even want you to know why. I want you to let it go when it starts. Whoa, now you're ready. Why do I care why? I don't want to be disturbed. How about you? I don't want the world to be able to disturb me. I'd rather be centered and clear and then deal with the world. I think I can do better, right? Did you ever sit there and say, I can't handle this? Let's just be analytical for a second. What does that mean? I can't handle this. I think it means you can't handle it. It means, well, somebody can hit a tennis shot at you. I can't hit backhand. Well, what does that mean? You're not going to play tennis. If you can't handle it, you shouldn't be there, because you just admitted you can't handle it. So you catch yourself and you realize, I don't care why it's getting disturbed. I want to let go of that and then be present so that I can handle it. I want to be able to handle it so that I can deal with it and do it reasonably. So this is not about renouncing or sitting in the woods somewhere. It's about sitting inside with clarity and being able to handle yourself. Ultimately, when you say I can't handle that, what you mean is it caused something to happen inside of me that I can't handle. It's not true that I can't handle what she said. I can't handle what happened in me because she said it. What happens if she said it in your mind and everything and say, oh boy, I like it, then it'd be fun. There'd be no problem. Can you handle what she said? Sure. But what if it comes up, I can't handle what she said, I can't handle this. Well, then you can't. So I'm begging you. I told you, this conversation is about spirituality. This is how you grow spiritually. Not by changing anything, by not leaving the seat of self. So it's wonderful if you meditate. Meditation is a wonderful thing. It's about achieving a state of center where you're clear and keeping it. The most important part of your meditation is when you get up. I don't care where you went. I don't care if you saw lights. I don't care if Christ himself and Krishna were holding hands and came down. They do, by the way. All right? And okay, fine, you had an experience. It's gone. You should see the experience I had. Well, I don't care what you had. I care about your state of being. So basically, when you get up from meditation, you may feel peace. You may feel clarity. It may be quiet in there. I want you to notice why it doesn't stay. I'm telling you, when you get up, if you had a deep state and you're clear, I want you to notice what happens. Just notice, why does it go away? Because all you did was come closer to the seat of self. That's all you did in meditation. Is the mind wasn't so noisy and the heart wasn't clinging and the world wasn't bothering you. And so the consciousness didn't get drawn down. This is what I'm talking about. Consciousness gets drawn down into object of consciousness. In a meditation, in a deep meditation, it doesn't. And so you feel the nature of consciousness. You feel peace. You feel expansiveness. It's quiet. We'll talk about that in a moment, what happens when you get back to that state. So you get a taste of that. That's why it's a good thing. It's good. It's good. But then why does it get pulled back down? That's what matters. Then how can I practice not getting pulled back down? That to me is what I found out was as important or more than the meditation, is to practice everyday life. Why am I getting pulled down because a person didn't turn their blinker on? Why am I getting pulled down because a car cut in front of me? Why am I getting pulled down because somebody said something? Why am I getting pulled down because somebody didn't say something that I expected them to say or I wanted them to say? Why am I getting pulled down because the phone didn't ring? Phone doesn't ring. How many phones don't ring? But I wanted his call. I expected the call. He said he would call. You're getting pulled down by everything. Why am I getting pulled down? Because it's too cold, it's too hot, it's too humid, my hair's frizzy. Why am I getting pulled down about these absurd, meaningless things? Why is that happening? That's spirituality. Now you woke up. You want to have a beautiful life? Clean up. What does it mean to clean up? Notice that you're being pulled down out of the seat of self, out of consciousness, for absurd reasons. You can learn to handle things. And what it means, if I can handle it, is I don't have to go down out of the seat of self and get all involved in the mishigas. So that's your work. Is meditation good? Yes. Is mantra good? Yes. Is positive thinking? Yes. All these things are very, very good. They are practices. They're not the end. Somebody comes to me and says, but I've been practicing positive thinking for 15 years, and now everything that happens, I just make it be positive thoughts. I'm sorry, you don't want to tell me that. Because if I really answered you, I would say, how come you have to do that? What do you mean? Why do you have to do positive thinking all the time? Why? Because it's negative. That's the only reason you do positive thinking, is because if you didn't, it wouldn't be. Now, positive thinking is a very good thing. I'm not talking against it, but pay attention. The question isn't just, can I do positive thinking? It's, why is this thing coming up like that? And you realize it doesn't have to. You can change the foundation of everything in there so that it's positive naturally, so it's beautiful naturally. It's not something you're supposed to be doing, but do it, right? I'm saying this is like practicing tennis. Everyone understand what I'm telling you? You may have noticed it's kind of naturally a little negative in there, about things that happen, and complaints and worries and anxieties. And okay. So basically, you understand, we're back to our basics. You're a conscious being. and you have a personal self. There it is. Your spiritual practice is to be able to sit in the seat of self while every day unfolds, your every day unfolds, it's going to unfold anyways, and not get pulled down into all this garbage that's inside. The fears, the anxieties, the needs, the desires, the hopes, the dreams, the beliefs, the this and that and the other thing. All right, so now we understand what's happening. Spirit is consciousness. Now let's talk about the nature of consciousness. We haven't done that yet. We talked about you're there, you're witness conscious, you're there. Let's say you get to stay there. Oh, every once in a while something will pull you down. Again, Ram Dass did a beautiful talk back in the 70s. You used to listen to his talks. And he said, I'm standing on a bridge watching the water flow by underneath. Every once in a while the spray touches me, and I remember I used to live in there. So witness consciousness is you're here, you're centered. It's not a thought, you're just centered. And you're able to handle that your thoughts do different things, and your heart does different things, and the world does different things. As your starting position is, I'm still here. You still there? Oh, yes. Now what? Now deal with it. Nobody's saying you don't deal with it. If there's something to deal with it. But you're going to find out that at least 95% of every single thing that pulls your consciousness out of your deep seat is meaningless. You're creating hell for yourself. The new book, again, my favorite line in the new book. Oprah said the same thing, her favorite line. The moment in front of you is not bothering you. You're bothering yourself about the moment in front of you. Why are you going to go in there and bother yourself and then wonder why you're bothered and then wonder what you should do about it? Stop bothering yourself. And you're going to find out that, I'm telling you, 95% of the things you're bothered about will never happen. They don't happen. They're just meaningless. You're just bothering yourself. And so you practice this. What will happen if you practice this? You will stop being bothered so much. It will naturally happen every day. Less problems. Not that there's less world unfolding, but you stop bothering yourself about every single thing that could ever be that's not going to be anyways. And you just work with yourself. That's a letting go. Now, what happens? You end up finding yourself there. You're not thinking about it. Because you're not being distracted by the personal self, you don't seek self. You just cease to leave. Any party that's seeking self is not self. You are self. You are consciousness. You just notice that you're being pulled away from yourself. And eventually you'll start feeling it as energy. Eventually you will get to the point, thoughts aren't like they used to be. They're feelings. You actually feel a thought pass through your mind. You feel a thought start to be created and then go back down if you let it go. It's energy. They're energy. And you are just conscious enough now to feel the energy. And then when you don't get pulled down, you'll notice the energy of the thought goes back into self. That literally it's being pulled away from consciousness and it returns to consciousness. And eventually you will be able to sit, not trying. You will cease to be pulled away from your natural seat. There, that's how I want to say it. You're not making yourself go there. You're just ceasing to be pulled away because you neutralized all this garbage inside of you. Now what happens? You start to feel joy. Why? I didn't get anything. That's right. You didn't get anything. Nothing happened. You just start to feel joy. Why? That's the nature of self. Self has a nature. Consciousness is aware. In the yogic scriptures, the teachings, they gave a name to consciousness. Satchidananda. Eternal conscious ecstasy. That's the truth. And that's what you're going to feel. You're going to feel a constant state of joy welling up inside of you for no reason. But there is a reason. You didn't get pulled out of that state. Now, if you have absolute joy and ecstasy and love going on inside of you, why are you being pulled out? Because the way a person's driving. I think I'll give up eternal conscious ecstasy because he didn't use his blinker. Or let's get a little closer, a little more serious. I'll give up absolute love and joy being fed from inside because when my husband or wife came home, they had a bad day and they didn't say hello. They just went right to the room. You willing to give it up for that? And more, you start catching on, I ain't giving this up. And guess what? Nothing can make me give it up. I'm in here. I'm conscious. Only thing it can do is stimulate something inside of me that I can't handle, and I give up joy, ecstasy, love, God, to go down to garbage. Am I willing to give up Satchidananda, eternal conscious ecstasy going on inside of me all the time? It just flows in there. Eventually, when you stop going down, it all comes up to you. You don't realize that. It doesn't want to be messed up. You're the one who pushed that stuff down there. You suppressed all that stuff. You're the one that used your hands inside because you couldn't handle your insides, and you pushed it down there, and now you have a storehouse of garbage inside, don't you? And it keeps coming back up. If you clean that out and just keep letting go, eventually the energy comes up, but it's not garbage. It's pure, clean rush of holy waters, the Bible calls it. There's this tremendous rush constantly going on inside of you. Literally, constantly. From the time you wake up to go to bed, during sleep, it's going on. There's just this constant upward flow pouring inside of you, feeding you. Why would you give that up for some personal stupid thing that's going on in there? So you work with yourself to learn not to get involved in all that stuff. It's not renunciation, is it? It's a letting go of the garbage that you stored inside. And what will happen is the Shakti, chi, spirit, it's an energy flow. And it will get more and more until eventually, and I will close down, till eventually it's feeding you. That's what it means. Man does not live by bread alone, by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father, of God. Yoga is about this. And so it's feeding you, and eventually you just make that commitment. There's nothing I need outside. I just need to stop letting the outside take me away from this beauty that's inside of me. So I can deal with the outside perfectly fine, no matter what, but I'm keeping this flowing, all right? Now what happens? Eventually, it gets deep enough, and not just in meditation, in everyday life. It gets deep enough inside where you start noticing, not noticing I'm there all the time. It's filled with joy and ecstasy. Where did that come from? That's the next step. Where did your consciousness come from? You can't know that when it's not centered. It's all being pulled in 50 different directions. You know, the river comes from somewhere. Consciousness comes from somewhere. When you get to that point where that's what you're looking at, what you're realizing, you're not thinking it, it's just an intuitive knowing. It comes from somewhere. You realize it's coming in from behind you, not in front of you where your thoughts and all that stuff is. There's a flow from behind, and you start to get pulled into it. And the more you can let go of your anchors, the more it pulls you in. And it pulls you in, and it pulls you in. And that's called the ascent. Now deep spirituality is taking place. And eventually you realize all that's been happening is this expansive consciousness that's everywhere. Is the whole universe. It's God. It's focusing on your thoughts, your emotions, and your body, and what you see through your senses. What a waste. Why am I focusing down on that? And it won't focus anymore. It'll pull back and pull back. And that's the deeper states. I always use Meher Baba. He said, as he moved back into that state, which happened to him suddenly, his consciousness was a drop. It was like a drop of consciousness looking at himself. And as it let go, it fell into the ocean of consciousness. Find it. Next time you're at the ocean, take a drop it in, find it again. Not a chance. That's my Father and I are one. That's the merger. That's what yoga means. It means union, oneness. And it merges, and you experience. You're not supposed to think about God or believe in God. You experience that it is everywhere throughout the universe, and you are that thou art. So now we talked about spirituality, didn't we? Work with yourself. Jagradav.